kind of think it's fairly obvious right now. Jim Leonhard's the guy in Madison. Great time to subscribe to the channel. We've got Big Ten content every single day. Always smash the like button to spread the word of Big Ten Ted. What Jim Leonhard has done in these last two games against the passing attacks of Purdue and Maryland has been fantastic on the defensive side of the football. I think coming into this season, we knew Wisconsin would need to figure some things out. And now, once we get to November, right, Wisconsin is November's month. When November kicks in, Bucky kicks in. Historically, that is what the statistics show, and we are possibly seeing it. Once again, this was good old-fashioned Wisconsin football. Great Jim Leonhard defense, a running game, and not a ton of dependence on the quarterback. And that might have a little something to do with the weather, which is also good old-fashioned Wisconsin football. Once you get into November, it gets rainy, it gets a little cooler in Madison, and that's the kind of game we saw from this Wisconsin Badgers team. Look, this was not exactly a prime game where you were going to see a repeat performance of what Graham Mertz had been doing. I think the weather had a lot to play with that. You know, the Madison monsoon coming down for most of this game. This was going to be a Braylon Allen type of game with a little bit of Isaac Guerendo as well in the running game. This was going to be a good old-fashioned Big Ten, hard-nosed Wisconsin football type of game, and that's what you saw from this Badgers team. Look, you know, maybe I underrated Braylon Allen when I talked about some of the best running backs in the Big Ten, but this guy still got it. This guy still got a lot of power. This guy still has a lot of speed. And man, what Isaac Guerendo has been able to do to step up in the absence of Ches Malusi, it gives the Badgers a big-time 1-2 punch in the backfield right now. Look, this defense just continues to get better. What they're doing now in the secondary with Alexander Smith back, Jay Shaw, John Torchio in that secondary. And man, Nick Herbig might have had his very best game of the season. What they were able to do to just disrupt, continuously attack this Maryland offensive line. This is a Jim Leonhard defense. We are finally seeing it all come together, I think, in Madison, Wisconsin. The running game's getting better. The offensive line is getting better. Even though you didn't see it today, the passing game and Graham Mertz are getting better. Everything is coming together. And I'm not saying it's going to happen this week. Maybe it doesn't happen the next week because these rivalry games down the stretch for Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, and Minnesota, I think are all going to be challenging games in their own right. But we're really going to find out what type of team Wisconsin is down the stretch in terms of how good they are, how well they stack up against those rivalry teams, because Iowa's getting better, especially on offense. If Nebraska gets Casey Thompson back, that could be challenging, and we know how tough and physical Minnesota is right now. This is a tough and physical Big Ten West. If you want to win in the Big Ten West division, you got to be nasty. If you want to win in the Big Ten West, really the Big Ten overall, but definitely the Big Ten West, you've got to be great on defense, and you've got to be great running the ball. For the Maryland Terrapins, they're not nasty, and they aren't physical. And I think that was where this big difference was in this football game. The weather had a lot to play. Look, you're going to get this type of forecast occasionally. You're going to get these type of games, especially as the season goes more along into this cooler fall weather in the northern part of the country. Maryland, I don't think they're built for it right now. Look, their running game has been better this season. Roman Hamby, Littleton, no question about it. The Terps have been able to run the football a lot better this season. But, and there's always a but when you get later in the season and you got to get tough yardage and you got to be able to run the ball against some really good defenses, you know, Maryland just wasn't able to do that. Right? And then you put the ball into the hands of Taulia Tungavailoa, the very wet hands of Taulia Tungavailoa, with all the rain coming down and what Wisconsin was doing better on defense. It was just all a recipe for success for Wisconsin and a recipe maybe for demise for Maryland. And now a team that maybe thought they should be in the initial college football playoff top 25 rankings. Now you lose to Wisconsin. You got Penn State and Ohio State on the docket. You're just kind of back to where you were. right? This was what, a 7-5 team last year? They're on pace to do that again. This was a team where I thought maybe they were making progress, but at the end, in the end of the season, you know, you're losing to Ohio State, you're losing to Penn State. You know, yeah, you came back and beat Michigan State this season at Maryland, but I'm just not sure how much improvement this team maybe has made since a year ago. I'm sure they've made a little bit of improvement, but maybe just not the big jump that maybe myself or others were thinking. This is a Wisconsin team. Okay, the more we go down the stretch, I mentioned their rivalry games coming down the stretch. This is a Wisconsin team that is going to continue to get better. You can see how well, just how much better they get week in and week out, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Iowa, Nebraska, and Minnesota will have their hands full with this Wisconsin team. This is a team. Invest in Wisconsin. They are definitely trending up right now. Want to hear your thoughts on this game? Drop them in the comments below. You think Wisconsin, are you kind of agreeing with me with Wisconsin? You think that they could maybe, just maybe, run the table to finish off the rest of the regular season? What about Maryland? What kind of improvements do you think Maryland has made? Or are they just kind of stagnant right there at that 6 and 7 win level? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to Big Ten Ted. I'm Big Ten Ted, and we'll see you in the next one.